everybody, Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer video. And today, I want to talk about the most underrated sideboard cards in the Pioneer format. So obviously you have like your big staple cards like Rest in Peace and Leyline of the Void and Rending Volley. You have your cards that everyone likes to play, you know, in pretty much all their red decks, their black decks, that kind of thing. But what are some sleeper sideboard cards that maybe not a lot of people actually play, but are incredibly strong? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about today. I have 10 specific cards that I want to talk about that I think are just really, really undervalued in the format as a whole. And let's go and hop into it. So number 10, honestly, is one of my pet cards. I've always really loved this in Pioneer sideboards, and let me go ahead and explain what it is and why, and that is Tormod's Crypt. I've always thought Tormod's Crypt was really good for decks that maybe don't want to take a turn off, you know, like if you're trying to play like a curve out aggro deck or something like that, but you don't want to be, obviously, you know, spend mana or take a turn off to be able to interact with our opponent with their graveyards, you can just play Tormod's Crypt. What's also cool with Tormod's Crypt is if you're playing like a really fast aggro deck that plays like a whole bunch of prowess creatures, you can take advantage of the extra prowess with Tormod's Crypt, which I always thought was really, really cool. But yeah, Tormod's Crypt, I play it in a lot of my sideboards. I think it's just really underrated in the format as a whole. And yeah, and that's why I've got it at number 10. And at number 9, I have a card that really no one plays in their sideboards in blue decks, but I've always thought it was really strong in decks like Merfolk and Spirits, and that is Sleep. I've always felt that Sleep is so good, and to be honest with you, I'm glad that my opponents don't play it on me, just because this card is absolutely backbreaking. If you're a blue deck playing against like opposing aggro decks, it's game over. I mean, just tapping all of your opponent's creatures, so if they've got a few, you know, that are standing by to block, you take them out of the game, and they don't untap the next turn. So basically, you can just have 2 free attacks in, which a lot of the time is going to be enough to end the game. I really think this card shines in decks like Merfolk and Spirits, as well as, you know, probably even Rogues, heck, even like Mono Blue Tempo. I think Sleep is just absolutely incredible, and I wanted to mention it here at number 9. And then number 8, I have another 4-mana sorcery, but really just a completely different kind, and that is Crippling Fear. I've always thought Crippling Fear was really good in your creature type matters decks. You know, like if you're playing rats or zombies or, you know, vampires, really anything in black, and you want removal to be able to take out, you know, maybe if our opponent's playing a token deck or really just going wide and we want like a nice board wipe, but a board wipe that's not going to hurt our own creatures, I've always thought Crippling Fear was fantastic in this role. I love to play in all my zombie and rat decks because I think it's incredible, and I don't see a lot of people playing it. I think you should definitely reconsider this card, and that's why I've got it at number 8. And at number 7, I have a card that actually saw quite a bit of play when it first entered the format, but it really fell out of favor, or just people forgot about it, or it wasn't new anymore, so they kind of moved on. And that is Invasion of Gobakhan. I've always thought this card was really, really, really good. I play this in all of my white sideboards. It's such a fantastic card. You get so much value on the front side. You can potentially just completely time walk your opponent depending on what you take out of their hand. And then the Light Shield Array being able to buff all of our creatures that attack is just so good. I'm a huge fan of Invasion of Gobakhan. I think the card's absolutely insane, and that's why I've got it at number 7. At number 6, I have another 2-drop permanent that kind of transforms in a way, but I'm really not here to talk about the backside. I'm here to talk about the front side of Malevolent Hermit. I've always thought this card was super underrated, and I think part of the reason is it's just a card that really doesn't have a good home in the format, but I just remember playing this card in Standard and playing against it in Standard, and it was just always so good. You just get so much value with a card like Malevolent Hermit, and yeah, I'm kind of surprised that more people don't actually play this in their sideboard, and that's why I've got Malevolent Hermit at number 6. Okay, number 5, a little bit of extra bias, again, coming from this card, and it's really, I guess, kind of 3 cards, technically, and those 3 cards are Cindervines, Magebane Lizard, and Roiling Vortex. The similarity between all these cards is the fact that they can deal passive damage to our opponent. Obviously, Cindervines and Magebane, whenever our opponent casts non-creature spells, they take damage. Roiling Vortex obviously deals 1 to each player at the beginning of their upkeep, but I've always liked these types of effects. It can really put our opponents on a clock, especially if they're playing like control or mid-range decks. Like all of a sudden they're taking a whole bunch of extra damage out of nowhere. And some decks, you know, if they're playing like Mono Black the Rack, they're not going to have any answers for a card like Roiling Vortex and Cindervines. And I think that's where the strength of these cards really comes into play. I know that Magebane Lizard does see some play, but I still do feel like it is really underrated. Obviously, Cindervines has the advantage of blowing up really good artifacts and enchantments, like Quarry Steel Cutter and Unholy Annex. Rolling Vortex has the advantage of being able to be good against decks that are trying to gain life. And then Magebane Lizard is good against the decks that are trying to really rapid fire play a whole bunch of spells at one time in one turn. And that's why I had to mention these out on the list because I think they are very underrated. And at number 4, I have a card that finally did take off a little bit in the format, but I still do think is underrated. And that card is Deafening Silence. When this card was spoiled in Throne of Eldraine, I knew that I was going to be playing a minimum of 2 copies in all of my white sideboards until the end of time. I'm serious. Like, even for years, since the beginning of Pioneer, I have been putting this in my white sideboards. The card is absolutely incredible. It's good against a number of different decks in the formats. Like, a lot of decks get crippled by only being able to play 1 non-creature spell each turn. So when we play a card like this for 1 mana, that's an enchantment. So a lot of decks struggle to be able to remove this. We're just going to get so much value from this. So yeah, that's why I've got Deafening Silence at number 4. And at number 3, I technically have 2 cards, although they do play a very similar role. That is Weathered Runestone and Grafdigger's Cage. So these cards really kind of shut down the same card, and it's kind of collected company. Like, that's the main reason you would want either of these cards. But it also does shut down Arclight Phoenixes coming back into play. It shuts down Reanimator decks with the new Zombify that are trying to, bring back these big Atraxas and things like that. It's also really good against Storm in the Festival. Most notably, I guess, Weathered Runestone with that. But I guess it is still really good against both of those. But yeah, I think that these type of effects are fantastic. Like, it's just, especially Grafdigger's Cage. It's only 1 mana, so I'll give it the kind of slight edge over Weathered Runestone. But Weathered Runestone does cleanly answer a lot more cards, though. It really does. And I think that these types of cards are really underrated. And that's why I've got them at number 3. And at number 2, I have a card that very recently entered the spotlight again, at least with Pioneer, just because of Quarry Steel Cutter. And that card is Abrade. I think Abrade is really, really good in this metagame right now. I know how it used to go. Like, Abrade, like, you'd play Modern or early Pioneer, and you wouldn't leave home without him. You'd play a few copies in your sideboard, heck, even sometimes in your main board. But, it's a little bit different now. I still do think this card's fantastic, and especially with all the really cool artifacts that are coming out in Edge of Eternities, I really do think that people should be packing Abrades in their sideboard. If you're playing red, do not leave home without it. Your opponent's going to wreck you with a Quarry Steel Cutter or some new spaceship, and you're going to get absolutely blown out. So yeah, pack your Abrades, and that's why I've got it at number 2. And I've got a card that technically can also answer Quarry Steel Cutter, but it can also answer Unholy Annex, it can answer Big Flyers, it can really answer a lot of different cards. And that is Pick Your Poison. I think that this card is so underrated. It really blows my mind when I see, like, green-based decks not playing multiple copies of Pick Your Poison. It's so clean. Obviously, it was great when the Vampires deck was really good in Pioneer, when we were using a card like, we were using Pick Your Poison and Tears of Alka to take down the big Vein Rippers, but this card has even more utility than that. If our opponent's only playing like 1 or 2 specific artifacts, like, again, Quarry Steel Cutter, most of the time is going to be their only artifact. You're able to take it out with that. Enchantments, same thing. We can take out Fable the Mirror-Breaker. We can take out Unholy Annex. Those types of the decks are not going to just be having a ton of enchantments in play. So we can usually, for 1 mana, get rid of what they have. And then each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. It's obviously good against, like, go-wide flying decks, but it's really good against decks that are trying to cheat cards like Atraxa into play, for instance. I just think these cards are absolutely incredible. Pick Your Poison is awesome. It's the best naturalized effect that I think we really have in the Pioneer format, and that's why I've got it at number 1. If you're playing a green deck, do not leave home without it. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is there a specific sideboard card that you think I should have included on this list that I did not? Just let me know what you think in the comment section. And that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to check out other MTG videos here on the channel if you have not done already. Huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, Arcadius, Ray, Gary, Saranoki, Michael D, our premium channel member, The Common Cold, Jeremy P, and BG Stilts. If you are interested in being a channel member, it starts at $1 a month, and you gain access to the exclusive Commander Crane Discord, as well as other features here on the channel. So, I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.